Well, at 20 minutes to 5, we can now say the decision taken in 1975 by this country to join the common market has been reversed by this referendum to leave the EU. And that's the result of this referendum, which has been preceded by weeks and months of argument and dispute and all the rest of it. The British people have spoken, and the answer is, we're out.
I'm Molly, and I co-wrote and directed A Very Brexit musical.
And I'm Anthony, and I also co-wrote and musically directed A Very Brexit musical.
It was really nice to have a project that we both sort of started from scratch. We've both had previous experience in the acting and musical industry, but we've never sort of seen a project from start to finish before.
I'm Freddie Raymond. I played Joris Bonson, and I've done a few musicals at Cambridge, a few outside.
I'm Thomas Craig. I played Fidel Naraj, and in terms of acting, I'd done a fair amount before this, but I'd never actually been in a musical. I'd done, as part of choir, I'd done a bit of the odd musical song. I think I once did the Fagin one from Oliver, but I'd never done a full musical, so this was definitely a new thing for me.
My name is Luke, and I am the producer of A Very Brexit musical, and I also play the role of Caver Dameron.
I don't know if this was actually Molly or Anthony's decision that we were basically going to caricature them completely. So I wasn't playing Boris Johnson, I was playing Joris Bonson.
But I think one of the biggest challenges in terms of balancing the two roles was balancing the relationship with the cast and the production team, making sure that when I'm in rehearsals that the cast see me as a fellow cast member and not as someone who's bossing them around and telling them to change their profile pictures or whatever.
So we came up with the idea almost a year ago now. We were walking home from a concert that we'd been to see, and we were talking about sort of the musicals that we were both involved with at the time. It's always difficult working with a musical where you're sort of limited by previous conceptions that you have of it, or whether you've seen it before, and sort of the ideas that other people have imposed on those musicals. So we wanted something that we could work with completely from scratch, with no sort of prior conception of how it was supposed to work. And we wanted a topic that was very relevant at the time, something that we both had quite a lot of knowledge about. And Brexit seemed like the obvious choice because it was just so recent at the time, and was something that really sort of affected our generation.
And a lot of the interpretive elements that came across that we would normally put in the directing or the musically directing process, we were able to put into the score and the script itself from the very start, which meant that the rehearsal process was much easier because we knew what we wanted immediately, having written the thing ourselves, and there was nothing to sort of put on this already existent object. Normally in Cambridge Theatre you're often having to reach out to try and find someone to fill a particular, you know, tech team role or that sort of thing. But very rarely did we actually have to do that. A lot of people sort of came to us and said, you know, we'd really like to be involved, and that was really nice.
I think the biggest worry for me going into the show was making sure that all of the elements were put together in time, because we were working on such a tight timescale. I think we had about 3 weeks of rehearsal in total from sort of when we'd cast the show. And with the complications of the set and the music being quite difficult and the characters being based on real people, meant that there was a lot of work that had to be done on characterization and sort of the musical elements of the show to make sure it was really tight and really accurate. The worst and the best experience came sort of roughly around the same time. The worst experience for me was sitting in the audience, particularly on opening night, but I have to say it didn't change much across the week of the shows, waiting for the show to start, because at that point I just sort of handed all the responsibility over to the cast and to the band and the production team, and I literally could not do anything.
It didn't really seem actually really anything to do with the political. It was mainly, the reason why it was amusing and fun to watch was just that kind of everyone involved with it was incompetent, essentially. There were no good guys and bad guys, there were just idiots, which is kind of why it was funny.
I've got an idea. Paint grey squirrels red to increase the population!
I think one of the things that we really wanted to make clear to our audiences was that at no time we were trying to be the political figures, and I think that's really highlighted through the name switches. So we weren't trying to portray accurate impressions of David Cameron and Theresa May on stage. We were these fictional representations of the characters. We were David Cameron, Marisa Tay, and so on.
Thank you. I need you to write an article for me to bring the public round to Remain.
And in terms of acting as David Cameron, it's quite nice that I was playing a Remainer character, even if he is a bit of a fool in the show.
Poor old me.
I know this is really cliche, but probably the worst moment was when the show came to an end. Yes, it was stressful and tiring and very busy, but it was the most fun out of any show I've been involved with. Had a fantastic group of people that we all got on so well, and that always really helps. So when you get to the stage where you're not seeing them every day, that's probably the worst part of it.
Being in the audience and seeing the show come to life and seeing the actors really enjoying themselves, and the band as well, and sort of visiting backstage in the interval and seeing how everyone was just having an absolute ball was one of the most rewarding things, and was definitely the most rewarding part of the process, I think. And because of the prior preparation that everyone had done, it meant that during show week everyone could just really relax into it, and it was such a joy to be a part of rather than sort of a nervous experience.